Peace, mercy, and the blessings of Allah be upon you, my dear brothers and sisters. Take a moment to settle your heart, breathe deeply, and leave the noise of the world behind as we step into one of the most remarkable, emotionally devastating, and beautiful stories in human history. Before we dive into the depths of this beautiful tale, if you find peace and benefit in our content, please consider subscribing to our channel so that we can continue to share these timeless spiritual stories with more hearts around the world. It is completely free, and your support helps us grow this community of reflection and light. Now, picture a time long before the final message was brought to the Arabian Peninsula, in a city called Najran. The morning sun rises over the dusty, sun-drenched streets, casting long, sharp shadows across the stone walls. A young boy walks barefoot through the dirt, his eyes wide and curious. He does not carry a sword, he does not have wealth, and he does not command an army. Yet in a single breathless moment, this child shattered the arrogance of a tyrant king. He did not fight back with weapons. Instead, he gave his enemy the exact instructions on how to end his own life, turning his martyrdom into a monumental victory for truth. To truly understand this profound event, we must look back even further, to the land of Rome in the year 325. Emperor Constantine ruled over vast territories and sought a single unifying religion for his empire. But the religious scholars of the time were locked in a fierce debate over the true nature of the Messiah, Prophet Jesus, peace be upon him. The council gathered in the city of Nicaea. The majority claimed that the Messiah was the Son of the Divine, or the Divine himself. But a solitary man named Arius stood firm, speaking with a quiet, unwavering voice. He declared that the Messiah was a messenger of truth, a human servant, and that the Creator is one, without partners, without beginning, and without end. This quiet truth was the very essence of the message of pure monotheism. Though Arius was rejected by the council, his spirit did not fade. He traveled to Egypt and then across the sands to Africa and Arabia, eventually reaching the city of Najran. The people of the city listened to his call, and many embraced the pure, original faith. Decades passed, and the followers of the true faith kept this light alive in their hearts. Then a ruler named Dhu Nawas came to power. He had converted to a new faith and grew arrogant with his authority, eventually demanding that the people of Najran bow down to him as their lord. He claimed absolute sovereignty over their lives and their destinies. Those who refused were threatened with fire and the sword. Most of the population submitted out of fear, but a few held on to their faith in the shadows of their homes. Within the court of the king sat an old magician who had spent his entire life performing illusions and serving the vanity of the ruler. As his life neared its end, the magician realized that his craft would die with him. He asked the king to send him a bright, intelligent boy whom he could teach. The king selected a young boy from the city, and the child began the daily journey from his home to the magician's house. But what the king did not know was that the child's path was about to intersect with eternity. On this daily path, the boy passed by a small monastery where a monk lived a life of quiet devotion to the Almighty. One day, the boy stopped and entered the cell. He asked the monk who it was that he worshipped. The monk replied with a voice that carried the weight of pure truth, explaining that the Creator of the heavens and the earth is the true Lord, not the king. These words fell upon the young boy's heart like cool rain on parched soil. He returned every day, learning the wisdom of faith before going to the magician. He found himself walking two entirely different paths, one of illusion and one of eternal truth. Whenever he was delayed, both the magician and his family would question him, and the monk taught the boy simple, harmless words to say to both in order to protect his secret. Imagine the tension in the child's chest. Every morning, a battle of worlds raged inside his small, innocent mind. The dark, smoke-filled room of the magician, smelling of burning incense and trickery, versus the quiet, sunlit sanctuary of the monk, smelling of dust and sincere prayer. The boy felt the weight of the two worlds, but his soul chose the path of light. One day, on his journey, the boy found a massive wild beast blocking the path of the people. It was a terrifying creature, and no one dared to pass. The people turned to the boy, knowing of his supposed training, and urged him to do something. The boy picked up a small stone and said in his heart, "My Creator, if the way of the monk is dearer to you than the way of the magician, show it now." He threw the stone, and the beast fell to the ground, lifeless. The people realized that the boy's ability came from something far greater than magic. Soon, the news of this event reached a man at the court who had been blind for many years. He brought all his wealth to the boy and pleaded for his sight to be restored. The boy looked at him with gentle, clear eyes and told him that he himself held no power to heal, but that the true healer would grant sight if the man believed. The blind man surrendered his heart to the Almighty. The boy prayed, and the man's sight was restored. When the man returned to the court, the king was stunned. He asked who had given him his sight, and the man replied that his Lord, the Creator of the heavens and the earth, had healed him. The king, enraged, ordered that the man be tortured until he revealed the source of this faith. The man gave up the name of the young boy, and the boy was brought before the king. The king demanded to know who had taught him, and the boy's resolute nature led the king to the old monk. The king brought the monk forward and offered him the chance to abandon his faith. The monk refused, and the king ordered him to be executed with extreme cruelty, yet the monk remained steadfast until his last breath. Then the man who had regained his sight was brought, and he too refused to bow, accepting his fate with a tranquil heart. Finally, the boy was brought to the king. The king ordered his guards to take the boy to a high mountain and cast him down. When they reached the summit, the boy prayed for protection, and the earth shook. The guards fell from the mountain, while the boy returned completely unharmed, standing calmly before the king. The king was bewildered and furious. He sent the boy away in a boat to be drowned in the middle of the sea. Once they were deep in the water, the boy prayed once more, and a great wave overturned the boat, drowning the guards. The boy swam back to the shore and returned to the court. The king was looking into the eyes of a child who no longer feared anything this world had to offer. The boy looked at the king and spoke with absolute clarity, revealing that the king could not harm him unless he followed specific instructions. He told the king to gather all the people in one place, tie him to a tree, take an arrow from the boy's own quiver, place it in the bow, and say, "In the name of the Creator of the boy." The king, blinded by his own arrogance and eager to prove his power, agreed. He gathered the entire city, and the boy was tied to a high platform where all could see. The king took the arrow, placed it against the string, and announced the name of the Almighty for all the city to hear, "In the name of the Creator of the child." He released the arrow, and it struck the boy directly in the heart. In that moment of perfect, echoing silence, the entire city realized the truth. The king had been forced to utter the name of the Almighty in order to take the life of a child. As the realization washed over the crowd, every single person cried out in one voice, "We believe in the Lord of the child." The king, seeing his kingdom fall away in an instant, fell into a blind, terrifying rage. He ordered his soldiers to dig massive trenches and fill them with roaring fires. The heat of the flames reddened the night sky, and the sound of the crackling embers filled the hearts of the people with dread. He commanded that anyone who refused to abandon the faith be thrown into the flames. The soldiers dragged men, women, and the elderly to the edge of the blazing fire. They threw them in one by one, yet not a single person turned back. They recited the praise of their Lord as they stepped into the flames, finding an unexplainable, profound peace in the midst of the burning furnace. Among the crowd stood a mother holding her infant child in her arms.
She looked down at the soft, innocent face of her baby. As the soldiers approached her, a moment of hesitation touched her heart, not for herself, but for the innocent child she carried. Sensing her fear, the baby was given the power of speech by the Almighty and said, "Mother, be patient, for you are on the path of truth." Strengthened by this divine miracle, the mother's heart filled with a courage that defied all human logic. She took a deep breath, embraced her baby tight, and walked into the fire with a peaceful soul. The tyrants sat by the edge of the flames, watching the destruction with cold hearts. But the justice of the Creator came to pass. The flames grew so intense, and the wind shifted in such a way that the fire consumed the oppressors, while the believers were elevated to a place of eternal peace. This magnificent event was recorded in the noble Quran in Surah Al-Buruj, chapter 85, verses 1 to 4, where it is mentioned, "By the sky containing great stars, and by the promised day, and by the witness and what is witnessed, destroyed were the companions of the trench." Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, also spoke of the deep trials faced by those before us. As narrated in Sahih Muslim, he described how believers were tested with iron combs and sawed in half, yet they never abandoned their faith. Think about your own life today. How often do we worry about the temporary things of this world? We worry about the opinions of people, the security of our jobs, and the approval of our peers. We let small trials make us doubt our purpose. But when you look at the mother with her baby, or the young boy who feared nothing but his Creator, you realize that true power lies in the firmness of your faith. The tests we face may not be made of fire, but they are tests of our loyalty to the truth. When a difficult moment comes, when you are pressured to compromise your values or be ashamed of your faith, remember the story of Nahran. Remember that sovereignty belongs to the Creator alone. Let us turn to the Almighty with a humble heart. O Turner of hearts, keep our hearts firm upon your religion. Forgive our shortcomings, and let us meet you in a state where you are pleased with us. To all our dear viewers who have joined us on this profound journey, please remember that this channel is entirely dedicated to sharing these beautiful, life-changing reminders free of charge. If you have found comfort and inspiration in this story, please subscribe, like, and share the video with those who might need this gentle light today.